Hello, it's Mary Silver, and today I have a special guest, Coach A.M. Williams. He's a life coach and a motivational speaker and trainer that shows entrepreneurs and executives and even everyday people who are tired of playing small how to play at a higher level. Having been diagnosed with incomplete paraplegia, which is extreme weakness in his legs, Coach AM has discovered the gifts of a challenge, and he's mastered the art of transforming adversity into one of your own greatest advantages. Coach AM's impact is seen in the numerous coaches, consultants, and professionals that he's helped to elevate their inner game and accelerate their income, wealth, and well-being. His magnificent obsession is helping people dispel the illusion of their limitations and lead extraordinary lives. His Yes Go podcast on bsrnradio.com is syndicated across 300 radio stations and reaches 100,000 plus listeners each month. He has authored an ebook, Master the Art of Communicating Value, and co-authored Pain to Purpose. And he plans to release his first full-fledged book entitled How to Make It to the Top When You Can't Take the Stairs later this year. So welcome, AM. I am so glad that you are here with us today, and it's such an honor and a pleasure to have you.
A pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here with you and your listeners. Excited to be on your show. Congratulations on your show.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we've come a long way in the last year, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yeah, I was so amazing to see it was our friend anniversary. So it's like it's huge that we're getting together today. It's pretty awesome.
I know. That's so awesome. I love divine timing, and it seems like it was just there waiting for us. So this is perfect. Now, one of the things that I love to talk about and explore with my listeners, this is all about success and love and thriving in life. And I find your story to be one of the most inspiring stories.
Oh, thank you.
I really do. And actually, after I got done talking with you the other day, I went and had one of the best runs I've had in the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was all because of your story and how inspiring you are to me. So would you please share a little bit of your background and how you got to where you are today with our listeners?
Wow. It's a very, they say that it's often said when you come out of nowhere that people think you're an overnight success.
Right.
But they really never know how long that night was. So my gift is in trying to shorten the night to make it seem as short as people think it was. But long story short, I was diagnosed with the condition of incomplete paraplegia in 2000, which basically means I have extreme weakness in my legs. However, the doctor said there was no reason why I shouldn't be able to get up and walk again. So I'm actually working on that now. But in my period of time of being down, I came to know a side. I was orientated with life and orientated with someone I did not even know. And that literally was myself. All I knew was the person that I was being, the person that I was conditioned to be. I grew up believing that, you got a great job and you went to school, you could get a great job, right? And that you could make something of yourself and make a valuable contribution to society. But none of that ever really resonated there was something in me that was rebelling against that the whole time. And no matter what I did and how loyal I was to it, I just couldn't get the gratification out of it, the fulfillment that I wanted. And so in this period of time of being down, what ended up happening was that in this process of recovery, being in hospitals, long extended stays in hospitals, surgeries, countless surgeries, I ended up becoming orientated with myself. I spent a lot of time questioning life. What was I here to do? And being orientated with this disability, and what am I supposed to do with this? And I don't know how to navigate life with this. And I fought it. I was angry.
Sure.
I was angry with God about it. I didn't do anything to deserve it, like
Right.
anybody really does, right? But I didn't know why this was happening. And a couple of years ago, well, before I say that, let me say this.
Sure.
Despite the anger, I managed to do some pretty amazing things in the process. I mustered the courage to go back to school and got not one, not two, but 3 degrees. Graduated with honors. Um, I started my own business and I launched a podcast, and I did all of those things from a hospital bed.
Yeah.
I did them all from a hospital bed. And I mean, I was actually in the hospital, and the doctors told the nurses to put up a sign on the door that said, "Do not disturb, he's recording." I can't even make that stuff up. But what is
Right.
proof but what it is proof of is that when you get the determination, when you make the decision to do something, that all kinds of things will start yielding to you. Here I was in the hospital, and the doctor were telling them to put up a sign on the door to not disturb me when I was recording. So I launched my business. I launched my podcast from a hospital bed. I became a coach, got certified as a coach from a hospital bed, came home, had to set up a hospital bed at home. And I coached, I trained, I did sales trainings, I coached teams internationally in Canada. I did it all from a hospital bed,
I
and
know.
literally built a 6-figure business from a hospital bed. And as our mutual mentor David says, I still was an unconscious competent, because despite all the success I was having, I was still very angry with the gift. I mean, I was
Right.
still very angry with the disability, which I
Right.
later found to be a gift. David asked me, he said, "What is the gift in this?" And I struggled with that, but he introduced a question to me that it took me yet another couple of years to answer. And
Mm-hmm. I was at that. I was there when he asked you that.
it was a very powerful
Mm-hmm.
experience. It was a very powerful experience. And that question left that conference with me, and I entertained it, and I thought I had the question answered several times, but it wasn't the answer. And
Right.
it wasn't until I went back and read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where he was talking about his son in chapter 2. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hadn't read it, but he did say something about, with every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage.
Yes, the law
And
of
it was
polarity.
in that it taught me that your adversity could ultimately be your greatest advantage, and your adversity could be the gateway to your affluence. And so that lit me up. I mean,
Yes.
that took me to a whole different place, because it taught me that something in my life could be leveraged to
Mhm.
create something that I wanted. And so there was nothing more powerful about me than my story. So
Right.
I started utilizing my story to help people. I wasn't focusing on the technical side of it or the tactical side of it so much as I was the inner game transformation, because that's what launched the productivity. That's what created this spark in income acceleration, uh, everything else that took off, the excellence in school and everything. All of that came from a transformation,
Absolutely.
going all in on me caused me to play full out in life.
Yes.
So
Yes. And that
that's what
is,
happened.
I think that, and thank you for sharing. I think that as you were speaking, something that came to mind is something that we talked about last week was just, first of all, that overnight success that people think just happens, that it's not an overnight success. It's just
Not
finally
at all.
people start seeing you and you're out there. So I love that you're trying to create less time between that overnight success and the journey, finding the silver lining in the event, the occasion. And one of the things that when you were just sharing your story, it reminded me of what we were talking about last week when we said the hardest person to learn to love is ourselves. And
Yeah.
I sat with that a lot this weekend, thinking each and every time I think I'm fully in love with myself, there's a different level that I go to. And I think that that's part of the journey as well for you. You know, you said were an unconscious competent. Well, for the listeners that don't know what that means, it basically means that you're applying the universal laws unconsciously and creating success out of that. And I think that there's always a level of unconsciousness, and I'd love to hear your expression on that, your opinion on that.
Well, for me, the unconsciousness, now this is not true for everybody, and I'm in
Sure.
no position at all to be the authority on this. But I think when you're unconscious, the best acronym I can give for that is freak, right? Like you're just freakishly good at something and you don't
Right.
even know like how you're that good at it. Like you honestly, like, you can do something that most people just struggle and have a very hard time doing, but it just comes that naturally. Like you're not just good at it, you're freakishly good at it.
Yeah.
And things, you create amazing results from it. You do something that um, produces, like, it almost seems like it's the X factor in productivity or income, it's attached to your freakishly great thing that you do. And you don't know how to control it. Like you don't know how to turn it on or off. And then that's where the unconscious, for me, um, when I think unconsciousness, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, or in sports, when we're playing sports or something, and a guy is just, like, we call it heat check. He just can't miss or something.
Right.
They'll say that guy is unconscious. Like he's lights out. He's,
Yeah.
there's no, he could hit that jump shot in the dark.
Right.
But to be unconscious is to just be literally freakishly good at something. Um, but then again, there is the dynamic, as I think about it, of awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the more awareness that you have around it, I believe the more you come into your own about what is happening and what is taking place and what is allowing you to turn it on and turn it off. And the more awareness that I receive, the more awareness that I gain from my own commitment to personal growth, the more I'm able to recognize what's happening when I am able to do what I do. And
Absolutely.
and it allows me to have more control of it. Like I know how to put a demand on it when I need it.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good way of describing the unconsciousness. I've never heard it described that way. So that's a really
Yeah.
different way to
Well,
look at it. I like it. It's because there's some truth in it as far as when you go, like, sometimes people say, well, how'd you do that? And you're like, I really just don't know how I did it. I just did it. So I like it. I think it's empowering. And I love the awareness piece. I think that that's when I speak of going into the unconscious, I always find out that there's more awareness to be had.
indeed, indeed. It's kind of like a blind man with his hand on the elephant.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to this beast, you just can't see it.
Right.
And with AM, which means bringer of the light,
Oh,
it's about, I am I guess you could consider it a bringer of consciousness,
mm,
bringing more awareness to situations. And people often say, man, you helped me to understand that better than I could. Like you illuminated it, or you inspired me in some way. I cut a light on for them. And I realized that as a bringer of consciousness, it also means that I bring awareness
yes.
to a situation. And because of that, I take pride in my ability to sit down and devour material and pull things out of it that create actionable insights for people,
Yeah.
with things they didn't see before.
Now, you do go deep with your clients. Your work is, from my understanding, it's not surface level work. You're going to go
Oh
deep
no.
and push your clients to really, like you say, see that light. And I'd love to hear, is there a story you'd like to share with our listeners so they can kind of get a taste of how you take your clients through a process?
Well, the one thing, and again, you've heard me referencing before, but I have so many great things to say about David Nagel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one of the things that he shared was when you're struggling with something,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm not quoting him, directly quoting him, but he always talks about asking a different question.
Yes.
And for years, I asked the question, how do I make more money? How do I become more productive? And I was asking the wrong question. Um, the right question is, why am I not making more money? Why am I not more productive? And the shift between the two has everything to do with understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You have an outside in understanding, and then there's the inside out understanding. The how do I make more money basically says that the success that I desire is outside of me.
Right.
Um, why am I not making more money puts the onus for me to take accountability for what is or isn't activated in me. So
Mm.
by turning inward, I am forced to do self-discovery.
Yes.
And that's the type of work when if someone comes to me and say, so I need you to help me to accelerate my income. I'm like, well, that's great. Here's, so why aren't you making more money?
Right.
And whatever they say, I always ask them, well, what's beneath that? Um, and with that, what it does is it kind of creates an atmosphere for the individual to challenge themselves. I'm a firm believer that the reason why we aren't as successful as we desire to be is because we of a fear to challenge ourselves. We won't challenge ourselves for any, it's like you say challenge to a person, it's like, oh my God, I got enough challenges in my life already. But apparently you're not challenging yourself the right way. You're on the effect side of things that are creating challenges for you, but how often do you take time to challenge yourself? And that's what David did to me. He challenged me with the question, what's the gift in this?
Right. Right. And
That was the answer. It
well,
was
and
the question, but it was the answer.
it was. And I think that, I mean, watching you go through that experience, the reality that happened for, I think, us as participants in the audience was that the gift in it for us was actually seeing you receive it. And
It was
if I remember it right, you sat there for a while and contemplated it and allowed us to watch the process of it. And I think that helped transform a lot of people in the room also as well. Like, why am I sitting here? I mean, there were, and anybody that doesn't follow or go to conferences or retreats, what had happened at this retreat was there's people that are there for income. There's people that are there for a spiritual awakening. There's people that are there for relationships. There's a lot of people that come together that just really want to do the deep inner work and create a change. And AM was on the, I guess, microphone platform and really went deep and allowed the audience to watch and be a part of that process. And it was very healing and transformational for actually the entire room.
Yeah, I got a lot of responses back from that. Like people were like, you know what, they were thanking me. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I was the one trying to get the help. But interestingly enough, even before I went to the mic, I had a desire to go to the mic.
Mm-hmm.
And I yielded myself to that desire and made myself vulnerable. And in that process, it it healed so many other people.
Well, and
Uh,
that's the
having that
challenge.
experience.
That's the challenge I think you're speaking of is,
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be a struggle, but you challenge yourself to accept the desire to go to the mic.
yeah. So for the key in life is the ability to allow yourself to be challenged. And we talk about the non-resistance, or how we create resistance.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, my perspective or my vantage point of challenges has shifted to embracing challenges is being in a state of non-resistance. I embrace it. I don't run from it anymore. When something comes in my life to challenge me, I say, what is it here to teach me? I will
Hmm.
not run from it. Like, I'm in a state of non-resistance where I'm okay, it is here to teach me something. And when it does, it will leave.
Right.
It will leave. And I think that's the biggest part of what I do in business, because so many people are like, man, I'm tired of dealing with this. I don't want to deal with that. And, if I could just write a check and, you know, get rid of it. Well, if you could write a check and get rid of it, you really don't have a problem.
Right. Exactly.
It's the thing that, as I was telling you the other day, just being with me is my greatest challenge. I mean,
Hmm.
I get upset with me and I try to go out of the room and I follow me. I go into another room and there I am again. I say something about me and there I am again. I can never leave me. So,
Right.
I am my greatest challenge. And my ability to come into love with myself and to the
Mhm.
ability to understand more about how I work um, has really positioned me to be a greater asset to the people that I work with.
I agree. I think that your being around you, you are, even though you're a success coach and mentor, you are a vessel of love. And you show people, like, look, you can make this your greatest challenge or it can be your greatest gift. And for me, witnessing and you allowing us to be a part of that and your vulnerability, that is to me, I think, one of the biggest key indicators of success in life is, overcoming those obstacles and making them a gift, a silver lining. And I want to thank you for that, because that was, like I said, one of the most transformational conferences I had ever been at. So
It's beautiful. Glad to be there, and I'm glad that you got something great out of it too.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, we are coming up on our time here, and I want to get a little bit more into. We have a few more minutes, but I would like to get into more of your work and how listeners can find you and connect with you. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as simple as I can say it, I work with uh, entrepreneurs, executives, and literally everyday people who are tired of playing small. I help these individuals to play at a higher level in life. Oftentimes when we hear play at a higher level in life, the first thing that we gravitate to is a poker game. And we think about risk and like, you know what, you could lose it all. Well, here's the thing about life. From the moment you get up and walk out the door, you're already in the risk zone. It doesn't matter, it's just a matter of what level of risk you're taking in life. But even more so than that, it's not about being fearless. It's about being more brave than you are afraid. It's
Mm-hmm.
about being willing to play full out, going all in on a commitment. You can't do transformation halfway. The caterpillar never says, well, get my upper body this week, I'll come back in 6 months and do my lower body. You have
Right.
to be willing to go all in. You have to be willing to go all in and cocoon yourself from the rest of the world. Not be so consumed with the cares of the world, not be so affected by what's going on the outside of you, and commit wholeheartedly to the transformation that you desire. And then being loyal to that transformation in the face of adversity and stepping in. So playing at a higher level is about building inner resilience. It's about addressing your BS, which is one of my programs. It's about addressing the things that you believe are holding you back, and then actually uncovering what's really holding you back so that you can be able to move on to your next level. Um, I'm a firm believer that we are designed to live limitless lives. And so much of what we deal with in life and in the form of limitations are self-imposed. So if we can learn how to dispel the illusion of our limitations, we can live limitless. We can lead our best lives. And so my whole motto is like leverage without limits.
Mm-hmm.
Ability to understand that something in your life can be leveraged to create something that you want. And by understanding that, you open up a whole new world of possibilities. So my coaching program is Leverage Without Limits Coaching. Also, I do speaking, I do training to help individuals accelerate their income, wealth, and well-being. So I do focus on that, but I also focus on the dynamics of life, because at the end of the day, it's about living our best life. Because of that, I have no problem saying, you know what, I am a life coach, because I focus on the business of life. I focus on people living their best lives. And sometimes that is working on your business, improving it, but sometimes, in most cases, it's working on you, the
Right.
individual, because if you showed up better, I'm pretty sure your business would too. So that's what I do for the most part.
Absolutely. And I love it. And I agree with you 100%. It may be in the form of business or money or whatever it is that the client wants, but the work always has to do with the internal shift.
Always.
So that's wonderful. So is there a Facebook page or somewhere they can connect with you?
Well, people can connect with me on Facebook at Coach A.M. Williams fan page, or you can connect with me on Twitter at Coach AM1, or on Instagram. I'm at Coach AM, and much of this is actually in the written information in my bio too. So if they want to know what underscores and things go in that point, you can take a look at it there, because it is kind of funky on one. I think it's like Coach AM or Coach Dash AM. I can't remember exactly how it is, but it is written in the information. So when you put the bio up, they can see exactly how that is. But Coach AM, I'm the only guy. So you look up,
Yes.
you Google Coach A.M. Williams, I'm there. You got me.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We'll be sure to get those links out to in the show notes and across the platforms when we share this, so everybody can actually go find you. I highly encourage everybody to go check him out. He's, like I said, his story, we just brushed on the impact that he can bring into your life and how he can bring in the gift of your situation and really explore how sometimes, especially in the world of law of attraction, how a misunderstanding of what the gift is when somebody thinks it's actually the struggle. And I think that he does such a wonderful job of presenting how to transform through that challenge and really bring forth the vibration that you're looking for to create love, to create the life of prosperity, abundance, and love for yourself. So, Am, thank you so much for being
Oh
here
man,
today.
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And if you wouldn't mind, I also have a blogcast, I would call it, podcast. It's on BSRN Radio, called Yes Go, where I help people deal with the two biggest challenges they face every day when faced with opportunity. Number one, can I do this, and when should I start? When can I do this, and when can I start? Should I do it? When can I start? The answers are simple. Yes, go.
Right.
So, Yes, Go podcast on BSRN Radio, Tuesdays at 5.
Wonderful. Tuesday at 5. And that, so I'm clear with the audience, that is a radio show. It's not something that you can just go back and replay unless you are a member of that. However,
Yeah.
you can become a member, and it's actually very low cost. You can get a ton of benefits, extra classes, extra podcasts, extra radio time, and you can download past episodes and hear AM speak on success in all areas. So I encourage that. Remember, that is Yes Go and on BSR Radio. And I invite everybody to go out and find him. That's 5:00 Eastern time on Tuesdays. Yes Go Radio. Wonderful. Again,
Thank you.
AM, thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you for being here today. Please go find AM, support him in getting his message out, and he'll help you get your message out. Thank you again. Love and hugs. Until next time.